Da 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 da. Welcome to the show, Shideh. How does it feel to be Shideh today?
It feels pretty good.
Man, we had such a fun time before we come. Everybody should just be a guest on the show so we have that fun before time. It's called the virtual green room if you haven't been on a podcast before, but it's so fun just to meet and connect before the show even starts. So, boy, the listeners missed out on today's conversation, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
We're going to keep it a secret, although the smile is still on my face about that conversation. So much to get into, and we're going to even talk about a little bit what we started chatting about before we came on the air here. But first of all, tell us a little bit about Shideh. Where are you at in your medical career, in your life in general? Tell us a little bit about it.
So I live in Rhode Island, and I'm obsessed with Rhode Island. It's a very bad financial decision to live in Rhode Island. Just for anyone who's hearing for wealth systems, it's not the state that you go to build your wealth in. You can build wealth in it,
Yeah.
but it's just like a really lovely place to live, and we love living here. Um, and so we chose it out of that reason. I'm a mom of twins. I'm an avid tennis player. Still a practicing physician. I worked in the emergency medicine for decades, or a decade and a half, I should say. Did all the roles there, like academia, fellowship director, medical director, all those kinds of roles. Did all those things, and enjoyed those things while I was doing them. But then I started building a business, and the schedule of emergency medicine and building a business kind of didn't go hand in hand. And so I transitioned 2 years ago to working 2 days in a week in a clinic, which is FQHC model, which is like actually really lovely. What I didn't know, but I learned when I joined that job, is that it actually falls under federal tort reform, which if you are a real estate investor is a lovely thing to, like, an added perk that I didn't sort of think about. And through that job, I decided to do some lifestyle medicine training, also because I applied for a grant, got it, and have been doing that work 2 days a week. I still love being a doctor at the right dose, which is 2 days a week for me. Um, and then I spend the rest of my time coaching clients, and I manage my own real estate business as well. But mainly my coaching has nothing to do with real estate. I do performance coaching, sort of how to perform under high pressure, high stakes situations across industry, which I love. Like, it's such a fun job. I get to talk to really cool people doing interesting things and wanting to make their lives better and bigger and improve
Wow.
their lives. My family's from Iran, so we left post-revolution. I was born in Iran. I came here when I was 6 years old, and my dad is an agronomist by training. So like fatty beans and how to make oil out of them, like soybeans.
Hmm.
Okay, that's like what he did in his past life. My mom was a chemistry teacher. They come to America, like that sort of like in, Iran had a very complex relations with the U.S. at that time. They still do have complex relations, but back then it was right after the Iran affair where they held all these people hostage. So like there's a total like freeze of assets. So like you could not bring any money out. And we were moving to the United
Oh,
States. And so
wow.
they brought like I think less than $10,000 out of the country with them. Um, and my dad's first job in America was pumping gas at a gas station. He's 44. He like speaks some English, but like very little. Um, and his degree means nothing in America. Like he can't work in his degree. And so that's what he starts doing. My mom was like raising us. My brother was like 9 months old when we first got here. So they have to like figure it out. And so after a year, my uncle was graduating from college in the US. He went, and we moved to Atlanta, which is where he was working. And my uncle said, "Come to Massachusetts," which is where my uncle lived, "and let's start a business together." And he said, "Okay." And so that's what we did. Like, uproot your family, just like go, like, and they started a business in printing. How much did my dad know about printing? Absolutely zero. Like zero, 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 zero. Like
Yeah.
nothing. Yeah, I don't know if he even knew how to use a copier. So they open this printing business. They take turns, like they sleep. And back then, printers would get really hot. They have to deliver. Like the way they stayed competitive was like delivering things on a tighter timeline than like a Kinko's, right? Because a
Hmm.
Kinko's big corporation, their employees unengaged. These guys like they're eating what they kill, right? Like so they are just like we will make the deadlines meet. And so they would take turns sleeping over every other night in the
Print room.
store
Yeah.
to like cool down the machines for 20 minutes so that they could restart them again so they could meet their deadlines. They do that. They grow that to 8 stores and a
Oh,
big
wow.
retail place, which was amazing. But in that meantime, like my dad my dad is like has all these phrases which I like now realize that are in my head. People will tell him like, oh, if you want your kids to go to college, open a 529. And like, they didn't make any money at that point. They were like, put $50 a month in there. And I was like, she never go to school with $50 a month. Like, that's not going to pay for college and grad. Like, he understood that. And he was like, and why am I going to give up my money to the bank for the bank to play around with it and make money where I'm already sort of exposed to the market through like, you have to have a 401k and whatever other these accounts that are taxable accounts that are useful. So he's like, no, no, no. Any like little bit of money he would get, which would be like $20,000, $30,000 that he would like save up, he would just buy these rental properties. And we live in a town that has a lot of student housing. I lived in Amherst, Massachusetts, 5 colleges in the area. So he just like kept buying these like houses that did a lot of student housing. And so he built this little mini empire and he bought some commercial properties and that kind of thing. And so now, like a lot, it created a very nice little life for himself doing that and for all of us. That's something I think is really one thing that I realize is that education, higher education, I love higher education, right? Like I went to medical school. I love it. I have a fellowship training. I got a second training after coming out of school, like for a while. I love education, but sometimes education makes you feel like the only way to learn something is to get a degree in it. Like I'm not going to buy a property until I have like I don't know what degree you would get to buy properties, but like that kind of a degree. And the truth is like what I learned from my dad is like my dad knew nothing about printing, like not one thing, barely spoke English, like, and just like was like, we're gonna figure this out. And then he figured it out and was like financially very successful. And also in life too, right? Like that's the other part of it. It's not just like how do you make it work for your life? And like his life is really successful. Like he's got, we all went to Japan together with my parents, my kids, like my husband, my niece and my nieces. And like it was so much fun. And like I do think like that's the other part of like wealth and wealth building is that like not only do you need to build the wealth, you need to know how to use that wealth well, like in a way that like supports your life and living. And that I definitely have learned a lot from my parents. And sometimes I think when I look at people who are super educated, they think they have to have like some credential to allow them to do this. And then it's just like, no, you just got to do it and it'll come on. In the same way that like you finish medical school, right? And you have much more knowledge in your brain than when you're a resident. Like by the end of third year residency, like you forget all the like facts about biochemistry, histopathology, all that stuff. But it's the doing that allows you to learn how to do the work of being a doctor. And then when you become an attending, that's a whole, like the first year of attendinghood, I did a lot of mentorship of people in their first year of attendinghood. Like that's when they really learn what it is to be a doctor. Like it's very different. And it's from the doing, not from just like the reading. Like there's no credential. Obviously you need some credentials to be a doctor, but like in some parts of work, there's no credential. You just like have to like educate yourself and then you just got to go do it. And there's no residency or fellowship for it. I think that the high performance part of it is like figuring out bandwidth a little bit. Physicians, just like thinking about where you're putting your energy. And I really think of performing well requires you to like perform well on multiple cylinders, and taking the time to figure out what is your strategic plan to perform well, right? And I do this work so I don't work with just physicians. I work with like people across literally every industry, oil and gas, tech, software, like politics, all the things. And it just means like really picking out a strategic plan for your own life, right? And so real estate can be a part of some people's lives if that's what they want, but like building out all the parameters that are important to you in life and then examining why you're not acting on one of them individually. I think for physicians, a lot of it, when we talk about like burnout and all these things, is that like their whole life I joke around with my physician clients is like they have exercised one muscle a lot. It's like their right bicep is fucking jacked. And that is the working as a doctor muscle. Like that is the one they know how to do. Like I know how to work hard as a doctor. And so the moment they are asked to pick up like even a 5-pound weight with their left hand, their tendency is to pass it over to that right hand to do the bicep curl with the right hand, right? Like they're going to use that muscle to solve everything. And that just like is not good for you. You need to develop your whole body. And that means developing your whole body means developing your relationships. Like I see physicians who really their only friends are other physicians. It's a limiting way to live. Or they're like friends from college that they made 1,000 years ago that they like have held on to, like make adult friendships. Your marriage and your relationship, like your marriage and your is like a massively important part of your life to tend to. Their physical health, like you fit all of those things in, and you breathe a little bit, and real estate is a vehicle for creating room for that, right? Like the problem I think with for a lot of physicians is that they need that kind of salary to be able to live the life that they want to live, and they think the only way to do that is like I just got to work more. And so when you step back and figure it out a little bit more creatively, you give yourself room, and then you get to feed all of the parts your of your body, really, like of, and I do think about that holistic sort of approach